Hi, I'm Ashley Smith. Welcome to Nature in the Hills. Today we'll be talking about Michigan United Conservation Clubs. With us today is Kent Wood, the Legislative Affairs Manager for Michigan United Conservation Clubs, or MUCC. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ashley.
Yeah. So what got you interested in the outdoors, Kent?
I think from a young age, my dad was really instrumental in getting us outdoors, and whether it was through Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts at a young age, and then as we got a little older, we began going out in the woods and hunting, and just kind of generally walking around out there, and it was always a place where we really we really just enjoyed that family time that we had out there. And even sometimes he would pick my brother and I up after school, and he would make us sandwiches, and we'd just go out into the woods and kind of drive around and see what we could find out there. And I have to admit that's the first place I learned to drive, was out there on 2 tracks out in the woods. So
that's perfect.
Yeah, it was just a great whether we knew it or not at the time, we really enjoyed that time together. And looking back now, it was really something that some memories that really stuck with us.
Right, really memorable.
Yeah.
Great. So when was MUCC formed, and why was it formed?
MUCC was founded back in 1937.
Okay.
And specifically on November 9th, 1937, a man named Harry Gaines and some others convened a group of around 90 individuals.
Wow.
Representing about 35, whether it be sportsmen or conservation clubs from around the state. And really the general idea was that they were kind of tired of fighting these natural resources battles alone, kind of in their own little burgs. And they really had the idea that that they needed to create a more united front in order to better advocate for natural resources and natural resources management. And so 75 years later, here we are, still sort of with that same mentality that we are better united than we are in our individual capacities.
Yeah, that's great. How many members are in MUCC now?
Currently, we've got over 42,000 members, and there are over 250 different clubs that are associated with MUCC.
Okay.
And we also do have a very strong and diverse group of partnerships from around the state too, that aren't necessarily affiliated with MUCC,
right.
But that we do work very closely with.
Right, help you get things done.
Exactly, exactly.
Awesome. Well, what are some of the clubs that belong to MUCC?
We have clubs that have literally thousands of members. For example, the Saginaw Field and Stream Club, Western Wayne County Conservation Association are 2 of those. And then we have all the way down to smaller sportsmen or conservation clubs that consist of, maybe a dozen or a handful of members,
right.
Really more rural locations with smaller, smaller membership bases. So, we really run the gamut of, anything between a handful of members to, quite literally thousands of members.
Right, so it sounds like you have folks that support you all over the state.
Exactly, yeah. It is
great.
it is a very strong group, a very diverse group as well.
Yeah, definitely something that you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are some of the goals, or what is the goal of MUCC?
Really the ultimate goal of MUCC is to unite the citizens of this state, to protect and enhance and really appreciate our natural resources and our outdoor heritage that we have in Michigan.
Well, what were some of MUCC's past accomplishments?
Some of I give really 2 things that I think really are really historical victories for MUCC that our membership to this day is still very proud of. The first one being the bottle bill, or the bottle deposit law. MUCC was very instrumental, and I dare even say the driving force behind getting that bottle deposit law passed.
That's great.
And so that is something that our membership to this day is still very, very proud of, and we still remain very engaged in different issues out there surrounding,
Yeah.
the bottle-to-pottle
Definitely
law.
sets Michigan apart. For
Absolutely,
Sure.
and in fact, I would say we even as recently as a couple weeks ago had calls into the office from people in other states wondering how we did that and how we set that up, and there is a lot of interest out there, for those types of laws. And I would say the second thing also, and ironically, they both kind of happened around the same time in the mid to late 70s, was the start of the Natural Resources Trust Fund in Michigan, which was, again, another very unique and very historic way of dealing with sort of development issues versus natural resources issues.
Right.
And, so what the Natural Resources Trust Fund is, it's basically a fund that's set aside, and what's put into the fund are royalties from gas and oil and mineral extractions
Okay.
on state lands. So the state takes a royalty from that and puts it in this trust fund, which is then used to fund either land acquisitions or different land recreation development projects in various communities. So not only is the state eligible for those funds, but local communities are as well. And in fact, there are trust fund projects in every single county in the state that have benefited from this Natural Resources Trust Fund. And so those are really two of the things that I think really put MUCC on the map, and something that our membership, number one, worked very hard for and is also very proud of to this day.
So why is it important to have groups like MUCC, protecting the outdoors and the rights?
Well, we feel that especially today, where there are just a myriad of different issues that are going on out there, whether it's at our nation's capital or whether our state capital in Lansing, or even in our local hometowns.
Right.
A lot of times, conservation and natural resources and our outdoor heritage type issues sort of get pushed to the side or put on the back burner. They're not as important to our leaders, and so we feel that it's very important. And where MUCC really serves our members, we feel, is trying to bring these issues to the forefront and really uniting people also to advocate for these issues, to make sure that they aren't being pushed aside, that issues of wildlife and habitat management are still very important, and they do add to our economy. Our natural resources really adds to our economy. It's probably, if you want to call it an industry, is one of the, if not the biggest industry that this state has.
Right.
And so we need to make sure that our leaders know that and are making the proper decisions that can really conserve and enhance our natural resources industry.
Right, especially at a time when our economy isn't doing the best, kind of getting creative and helping our economy,
yeah,
for sure.
absolutely. Whether it's the down economy, which translates into a lot of different budget cuts. It's really important that they understand that these are really investments that we make in the natural resources, and they are investments that in turn can assist with rebuilding the Michigan economy.
Right. And with that being said, I mean, do you think MUCC's goals have changed over time with the need of Michigan and outdoors?
I don't think our ultimate goals have. I think our ultimate goals have stayed very consistent,
Right.
which is uniting people to conserve, protect, and enhance our natural resources and outdoor heritage.
Right.
I think, though, the different challenges of different days require different focuses, and so I
Right.
think maybe our focuses have changed over time, and because we've been required to be flexible to properly advocate for the natural resources, and
Right.
so I think the goals have remained consistent.
Cool. What are some of the common issues you think MUCC works on?
I think issues like ensuring that our wildlife and wildlife habitat, ensuring that those decisions are based on science, on sound science. That's really been one of the main tenets, I think, of MUCC, and really one of the ultimate reasons why the organization formed back in 1937 was to make sure that we're constantly pushing for science-based
Right.
management, and making sure that there are good reasons for the management decisions that we make.
Right, that's great. Why is it important to get more people involved in the outdoors?
Again, Michigan is so blessed
Right.
with our natural resources. And I think we are almost blessed to the degree that we take it for granted,
Yeah.
really what we have here, you know. I know me personally, I grew up thinking that everybody was just minutes away from fresh water, from a beach, or from a stream, or from the woods. And when you go to other states or other countries, you realize that not everybody has that. Not everybody grows up with those types of natural resources, assets.
Right, yeah, right in their backyard.
Yeah, right at their fingertips.
Yeah.
You know, and so, you know, whereas in other parts, you know, families and people, they really need to plan what, you know, vacations or whatnot around trying to get to our natural resources. Here, we have them, just like you said, right in our backyard.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we really want people to understand how blessed we are to have these, and also, you know, have that sense of personal responsibility that we need to be stewards of this
Right.
for the next generation, so that, you know, if you want to think of it this way, so that our next generation can, you know, grow up taking for granted the type of beauty that we have in the
Right,
state.
that's a good way to put it. How have you think involvement in outdoor activities has declined over the years, especially in recent times?
You know, I don't think it's maybe even just natural resources, but I think just about any type of recreation or any type of activity in general, there's so many out there now that everybody's kind of competing against each other.
Right.
You know, we're competing against TV, we're competing against video games and movies and all these different types of activities that do keep people inside and don't connect them with their outdoors and with their natural surroundings.
Right.
And so, you know, I think that is one of the battles that we face in sort of this declining involvement in our natural world, is that, you know, we need to make people understand and realize that, you know, how important it is and really how cool it is too. You know, we're kind of competing with that cool factor, and I think you know, other things might be deemed as, you know, especially with the younger generation, as a little bit, you know, cooler. I would rather, you know, play video games with my friends than go on a hike. But you know, I think really connecting them with, you know, you can have the same sorts of fun going outside and doing a hike or going hunting or fishing that you can indoors with your friends.
Right. I mean, it's really important to get youth involved with the outdoors. I mean, here at the Farmington Hills Nature Center, we do a lot of programming for the youth. So what are some specific things maybe that MUCC is doing to connect with youth specifically?
Yeah, youth is very important and always has been, but, you know, we talked previously about different focuses.
Right.
I would say recently the youth has really started to come into focus for MUCC. And so, you know, where we've not only been pushing for policies to help get kids outdoors at an earlier age, or help get them out with their parents hunting or fishing, but we've also had for years the Michigan Out of Doors Youth Camp that MUCC sponsors and puts on every year. And, you know, it has been very successful. There have just been thousands of kids that have come through this program. And these are thousands of kids that maybe wouldn't otherwise have had those experiences with the outdoors.
Right.
And, you know, I think, you know, just like the Farmington Hills Nature Center here, you know, I think we've been able to create that stewardship ethic in these kids that'll hopefully last with them through the lifetime that normally they probably wouldn't have had otherwise.
Right, getting them to care about the outdoors and protecting it. Yeah,
Absolutely,
very important.
so important. Yeah.
What are some of the benefits of getting youth outdoors? How do they benefit from being outside?
Again, I think the number one thing, you know, other than, you know, maybe that it is a wonderful way to get families involved, you know, in activities for families. But maybe the most important thing, as we mentioned previously, is creating that stewardship ethic in our youth, creating that conservation ethic that, you know, not only shows them how special it is, the natural resources and the type of natural things that we have in this state, but giving them that personal responsibility almost to care for it and make sure we conserve it for generations to come.
Right.
And I think that is maybe most important thing that we can do with these youth programs.
Right. And on top of that, getting youth outside, and even just, families in general, like you mentioned, the health and emotional benefits and the physical benefits to being outside are huge as well.
Absolutely.
If you have behavioral issues, things like that with kids, so that really
Absolutely.
helps with that.
And I mean, I talked previously at the beginning of the program about how I got involved with my dad and with my brother,
Right.
and those are still things, still memories that are fond to me and that I will keep for the rest of my life.
And I'm sure MUCC looks back at a lot of those studies that they've done with kids in the outdoors and how it affects, calming effects on the kids and helping them focus in the classroom if they have time outdoors. So I think it's great that we can go back to those studies, just like you said, using the science to help you with your goals.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's not just the stories you get from the kids, but there are the studies out there that do show that, it is healthier, it is better for the child development, is better for family development.
Right.
And so there are so many positive aspects of getting youth involved with the outdoors that it's just a no-brainer.
Right,
quite
almost
frankly.
nothing negative.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So the city of Farmington Hills did an event recently with MUCC called Gourmet Gone Wild. What can you tell us about that event and events like that?
This is Gourmet Gone Wild, I feel, personally, is one of the coolest things I think that MUCC is doing right now. And what it is, it's kind of like the same youth concept, only for young professionals. And I think what MUCC and others had noticed is that there was really a big disconnect between that kind of 25 to 35 or 40-year-old age gap, that young professional age gap, that just was not as connected for some reason with the outdoors. However, that same demographic is increasingly more and more starting to become more concerned with eating local, eating healthy, wanting to know where their food comes from, how their food was prepared.
Right.
And Gourmet Gone Wild sort of melds that together and tries to bring this young professional group into showing them how food can be prepared from our outdoors, from what we have in our own backyard and our own local community. Whether you hunt or fish, showing them that basically it's the ultimate form of healthy eating. Taking what you have in your area and harvesting it and preparing it with local ingredients. And at the event they even have local beer and wine that they they pair it with and that you can sample it with. And so it is really, the slogan is, it's really the ultimate in local healthy eating. And I think it's really one of the neatest things we're doing, because it's very unique and it really reaches out to this age demographic that I think we had really kind of left behind.
They're a hard demographic to reach out to and get involved in outdoor events like that.
Absolutely.
And I think with the Gourmet Gone Wild, had you mentioned before, when I attended the event, I was surprised at the diversity of types of food that you had provided at the event, as well as how great everything tasted. I think a lot of that generation looks at wild game and thinks that it doesn't taste good,
Or you think, you take wild game and you throw it all in a stew or something like that. And even me, personally, I had never realized some of the great gourmet type preparations you could do for wild game that makes it seem like you are going out to a fancy restaurant when no, you're having wild game that's right in your backyard that you can prepare yourself.
Right, and another great thing about that event too is they show you how to prepare those foods, so that if you do decide to get into hunting and fishing, that you're able to know how to prepare them just as good as they were doing it at the event, which is really cool.
Exactly, and that's one of the key things too, is I think a lot of people would be interested in sort of harvesting food and preparing food themselves, but they don't know how to do it.
Right.
And everybody's so busy. Exactly. It is very intimidating. And everybody's also, so busy that it's tough to be able to figure out how to do that. It's tough to know who to ask how to do that. And so hopefully that's what Gourmet Gone Wild can do also, is not only provide them a foot in the door of how to do it, but connect them with people that can teach them how, not only to prepare, but if they do want to get into, you know, bow hunting or something like that, how do you shoot an arrow?
Yeah.
You know, what are you looking for when you're looking for equipment? And I think connecting them with those types of people that can answer their questions or sort of take them and show them how to do it is very important.
Right, and I know at the Gourmet Gone Wild event, not only did you show folks, you know, what kind of food is out there, wild game, and how to prepare it, but also different demonstrations with archery that led into another event that the city of Farmington Hills did with the MUCC Gourmet Gone Wilder.
Yeah.
So folks got to come out and actually take a basic archery instruction class and try some different types of food at that event too.
Exactly.
So that's a whole nother extension.
It is, and it's sort of the follow-up to Gourmet Gone Wild. It's sort of the, hey, did you like what you had at Gourmet Gone Wild? This is how you do it.
Right.
You know, if you're interested in learning how to do it, this is how you can do it.
Yeah, that's great. I think people got interested at the event, and it was great that you had another event that they could attend to get even more into it.
And I think it's really important too to have those types of resources right there available because, again, like we mentioned, young professionals, people in that 25 to 35 or 40 age range, you know, they're so busy that even if there's, you know, we've got a million things that we'd like to do,
Right.
but just don't have the time to really find out ourselves how to do it. And so I think, you know, cutting through some of that and really connecting, you know, connecting those people with their interest
Right.
to the people that can help them learn how to do it is very important. Cuts out a lot of steps.
Yes. And with the event too, another great aspect of it is that it was free for people to attend. Are most of the events that you do for Gourmet Gone Wild, are they all free?
I believe so,
Yeah,
yes.
that's great.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like free
Yeah,
food, you know?
that was great. Do you know if you're planning on doing any events like that in the future, similar events?
We certainly do plan on doing more.
Okay.
I think you know, we've sort of wrapped up the initial ones that we had scheduled. And so, you know, I think now at this point, it's just going to sort of take stock of how things went and,
Okay.
you know, plan on doing more events in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I know they did a few Gourmet Gone Wild events at different locations, so it'll be interesting to see how those went and if you plan on doing them in the future, because they were great.
We tried to kind of cover the different regions of the state, and I imagine we'll probably try to do that a little bit more even in the future.
Great. So how can an individual or a group join the Michigan United Conservation Clubs?
There are a couple of different ways. You can join as just an individual member. The easiest way to do that is you can call us up and join, or you can go to our website, mucc.org, and you know, fill out the online membership form there. The other way is also you can join through your club. If your club is affiliated with MUCC, you are also a member of MUCC.
Okay.
And if your club is not, you can get your club to join MUCC as well.
Great.
So
then you can get updated on events like another Gourmet Gone Wild or something like that, being a member on your website too.
Exactly.
Another event or activity that you're working on is the Michigan Out of Doors University. I think you mentioned that a little bit earlier in the interview, but can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. We call it MOOD-U for short,
Right.
Michigan Out of Doors University. And what that is it's sort of the lifelong learning type of thing for people who are already involved in natural resources management or with the outdoors, but maybe want to learn more. So, you know, it's kind of a program that we designed to really help people kind of take that next step, and you know, we base it on kind of what people are telling us, what they're interested in, and so we have done some events where we did a deer symposium a few years back to talk about all sorts of aspects of deer management and trying to bring, you know, the resource professionals in who are actually making these decisions to talk with the people and tell them how they do it and tell them what's involved with it or how they can get more involved. Most recent thing we did this past summer was a fish passage symposium where we talked about you know, the pros and cons, the different aspects of having dams in our streams and also dam removal. There are, you know, that is a big debate going on right now, not only in Michigan but nationwide.
Right.
And so we brought a lot of experts in one location to talk about the different aspects of it, why it's good, why it's bad, what sorts of things that you could expect from dam removals or putting dams in.
Well, that's great.
And so it's really just trying to reach out even more to those people who are involved, with the outdoors and with natural resources, but want to take that next step, that next level of involvement.
Do you focus more, you think, on then current events for the Michigan Outdoors University, or is it just kind of activities to get outside? What do you mainly focus on then?
Quite honestly, we're kind of focused on what people are telling us they're interested in. What they want to know more about. If there are, and that's how the Deer Symposium got started. That's how the Fish Passage Symposium got started. Is we knew that there was a lot of interest in that, and there was a lot of interest, a lot of competing interest too, trying to figure out what was going on. And so we do try to sort of tailor it to what the interest is out there and what people are interested in learning about.
Okay. Does one have to be a member to attend the Mood U?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, great.
A lot of the symposiums, do have a small fee in order to get in. A lot of them are day-long or 2-day-long type of events, that include lunch or breakfast or something like that. But you do not have to be an MUCC member or even a member of any type of organization to attend a Mood U event. All that's required is just your interest.
Yeah, very cool. So do you have a webpage or a newsletter that folks can go to learn more about these types of events that you're doing, or MUCC in general?
Yeah, you can go to mucc.org. Really simple.
Yeah, that's easy.
And really that can connect you with becoming a member, with our blogs that are updated almost daily, also with our calendar of events, and then also there are ways to sign up for different types of e-newsletters that we try to do frequently as well.
Okay, great. Anything else that you want to add about MUCC or events that you're going to be doing in the future before we finish today?
I would say we just finished our 75th anniversary this past year, and I think it's really safe to say that part of that 75 years was really the involvement and a lot of the partnerships that we've built with the conservation community in general, and we really look forward to continuing to build those partnerships for the next 75 years and beyond, because it is really important for the future of our outdoor heritage and for natural resources in this state to really have a unified front. Whether you are associated with MUCC or not, those partnerships that we have across the conservation spectrum are really important and really something that deserve to be cultivated and enhanced.
Right, great. Well, thank you so much for joining us on Nature in the Hills. I really enjoyed talking with you and learning more about MUCC. So thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for joining us on Nature in the Hills.